Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. So what we're gonna do now is take this this base map. I figured I was gonna make this existing conditions model for you all, so I might as well show you all how I intended on doing that. So you see everything here, and just to kind of speak on this a little bit, Marshall sent me this link for these are the land effects trees. You all hopefully got an email with this anyway, and you all have these. But in case you don't, and the new template that I'll make available in that project folder that I shared with you all, you get all these trees, so it'll make it easier to place things. And again, they're simplified, like I talked about before. But that's what those trees came from. They're land effects trees. So that might be a little bit redundant, and that's what those. It's the same thing if you got the other email and you're confused. All right, so got the site, and what I'm gonna start doing is just I'm gonna kick this thing out as a W block, and we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully, we'll bring everything at one fell swoop. I don't think I'm gonna keep the. Well, I guess I can keep the existing badge. Why not? And let me just see first. Hopefully, the small residences are isolated from the. No, that sucks. Okay, so it's all just structure. I was hoping that it had isolated the building footprints differently, so we could have maybe done a all at one time push pull. So that's kind of sad. But since there's more smaller homes or smaller units than larger units, I'll still hopefully be able to demonstrate the combined push pull because that's the majority of them. Then I'll just go back through and on the larger units and just pull them up because there's less of them, just to minimize work and to kind of hopefully express a more intelligent way of approaching the problem, at least the best way I can think of right now. And all that will become obvious when I get this thing done. What I'm not going to include are the basins. I don't want to see that. And additionally, what also is missing is the street line. Now to put that in, that's interesting. You can offset. You need to be able to offset from the center line, and always keep your center line separate. So you can, if you need to modify something, you just modify the center line and do offsets, like we're getting ready to do. How I would approach is to get this thing really accurate is to bring in the that base map maybe that we created. Let me see if I can demonstrate that real quick. I won't spend too much time on that. Okay. All right. So we're gonna create a W block from this thing. I'm gonna select all the information. And ooh, what's that? What is that? Parcel dimensions. Okay, let's go ahead and make sure we turn all that stuff off. Parcel dimensions. Don't want that. Pin number should be off. Anything else weird? Okay. Everything else looks cool. So I'm just gonna make that. Oh, I said I don't want the basins either. So let me get rid of those. You could model those, but I'm just gonna simplify this, so I'm not gonna do that. What's this? Streams. I'm not gonna put the streamline in because I'm gonna, we're not up there, so I'm not gonna put it in. And what is this? That is the basin. Oh, really? Okay. I'm gonna get rid of that still though. Basin. Okay. And I guess I can leave this as kind of a frame of reference of where to do fill. I'll show you all that. Okay. So now I'm going to do that. Let me save this. And let me do IM. Let me do IM again. Oh, it's already up. That's why. Let me get rid of that. That was my old. Attach that. Yes, detach that. Let me add. This might be slightly different in PC, but you can just navigate to image. It should be the JPEG. And then navigate to that folder. Or download it in your case, so I can navigate to the folder. Wall image. Nothing? 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 Really? No? There it goes. Okay. And I'll say open. And hopefully these things will kind of align. So I'm just going to stretch it out initially. And see points. I'm going to use that building point as a kind of a reference. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of grab it and I'm going to put it on a fade. What layer am I on right now? I'm on topography. I might have an image layer now. Just be work clean. Let me just demonstrate that. It takes 2 seconds to do. So just do a new layer. I'm going to call this image. Yeah. Let me bring it to the top just by putting a 0, 0 in front of it. And okay, let me make just this white. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna kind of double click on that layer to make sure I'm on it. And I'm gonna draw a line with it now. And just do a match property, so I put this thing, the drawing on that layer. Now I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna reduce the contrast. Reduce the opacity a little bit so it's really kind of transparent. And also I'm gonna go ahead and do draw order and send to back. So when I align this thing, hopefully it'll align to the back. So I'm gonna type in a line. Oh well, I guess theoretically you should be able to scale it. It should line up perfectly. Let's see. I'm gonna hit scale, grab this, enter, 0 is a base point, R for reference, and we're gonna zoom in and I'm gonna click here. And I'm gonna hold shift just to kind of align it. Uh-oh, no, it's tripping. Don't trip. Everything is working beautifully. Okay, so let me zoom in and to here. Click that, and then I'm gonna say that should be 280 and enter. Cool. So theoretically, that should be scaled. Looks right. Let's test the theory. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to grab just a reference point on the building because everything was true north, nice and clean. I'm going to zoom in so I can kind of grab that tip right there, right there. I'm going to zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. And then I'm going to move this over here and drop that down. That should line up perfectly. Looks good to me. Now from this, I would just trace. I would use my, well, really just offset from your center line. So we can offset and through. And you would just offset these things through. It looks like the edge of pavement there. I know that now from that should be 1 foot from edge of pavement. Oops, offset 1, enter, and then to the side that you want. And then offset, I guess, offset 0.5, offset 0.5, enter, and then that's going to be my curve. Okay. And then we would just do the sidewalkers or whatever it would be. And then the important thing isn't to change that that layer, either put it into a flat, I'd probably create a flat work layer. So let me go ahead and do that too, new layer. And I'll call this 0, 0, flat work. And I'll make that one red. And I'll just scoot over here. Okay, it's all good. So now what I want to do then is I'm going to just make that, double click on that to make myself current. Just do a PL real quick, and again, just do that same technique of matching properties, just MA, enter, click. And I'm just gonna change the properties of those lines because they need to be different from the center line. And then once you have that done, you can match properties from this thing very, very quickly. So I'm gonna offset through. I'm gonna use this one this time. I'm just gonna eyeball it because it is what it is. And then offset, and then 1 again for that edge of pavement. And then offset 0.5 if you're using this, boom, there, and then boom. So we have that kind of as a road line as I see it. It looks pretty accurate. Sadly, there was a break in the line. It needs to be done for this side as well. That's great. But what's nice about this, I can just go offset through and then touch the line like that. and then kind of keep that going all the way through. And then what I'll do is just match properties for that. Not too painful. And you see we're quickly kind of getting the road drawn, and as long as that center line is accurate, nothing crazy is really going on, we can pretty quickly get in the road system, right? But I'll let you all do that and kind of, because some of that might change, I'm not sure what's going on, but that's how I would approach that. All right, so let me turn the image layer off. Okay, different. That was just killing me. That thing is gapped like that. I don't know why the thing is tripping. There you go. Hey, okay. All right, so now let me save that. And I got that center line, so I can bring that over. I'll just show you all how to drape it. So now I'm going to grab this line work and W block. I'm going to change the location. I'm going to put this in my project folder in that wall town, and I'm going to put this in AutoCAD, and I'll leave it here, and I'll just write the block, and I'll call it everything for wall town. Okay. Now what I could have done too is brought in some trees, and I might go ahead and do that. If you bring the trees in as components that are lined up, it'll allow you to reload the trees in SketchUp, but maybe we should do that. So let me bring a couple in to demonstrate that and redo that. So once we have the design in, use some of these trees. Let me use this one as an example. Oh. Zoom in here and copy. Okay, there we go. And let me turn off my OSNAP and then kind of bring this in here to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to put some trees on the building right now. It's got some green roofs, right? So I'm going to copy a couple of trees up here in this beautiful staggered pattern. And it highlights the, I don't know, I lost it. Okay, so I'm going to bring that in just as an example, and I'm going to kick these out again. Just everything. W block, boom. Okay, I think that's right block. Boom, and let me call this new everything. All right, so I kick that out. Let me close this down. And actually close that out. Let me close this. Let me save that. And then close it out all together. Okay. And now I'm going to go into SketchUp. Quit that. Let me select the template. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm using engineering to get this thing to work to convert. No, it was construction feet and inches. Okay. So I'm going to go to construction feet and inches and say, okay. So my plugins just kind of throw themselves up on my canvas. I need to fix that. But okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to import. So I'm going to go File, Import. I'm going to navigate to Walltown, to my projects, to Walltown. I'm going to go into my, where do I put that, y'all? AutoCAD, there you go. I want to have an AutoCAD file. So new everything. And I want to import and see if hopefully this worked out. We'll do a measurement here. How big are these trees? Good, so that works. So the measurements are cool. So that works out. There you go. So let me kind of tilt this thing a little bit, change the perspective. I'm using some shortcut keys that I have kind of set for my computer. And then I'm using also a magic mouse, a 3D mouse, so it allows me to kind of see some of these elements. But we can see our contour profile, which is really good. Let me make sure on the styles too that we don't have any, yeah, nice and clean. So nice and clean, like I like to see it. We also brought over the layers so I can kind of turn off structures and play and manipulate the things I need to work with. So what I want to do first is I want to put this terrain mesh, all these contours in a group. So I'm gonna grab all that and just group it. What I'm gonna do then is kind of go in there and I'm gonna do I'll show you, I have a shortcut, but it's Tools, Sandbox, it's Draw, Sandbox, and then from Contours. And what'll happen, it will generate a terrain mesh. I promise it will. Normally it's faster than that, so I don't know if it's because of the recording or what, but it was taking a little bit to do that one. Okay, so I'm gonna click away. I think I'm gonna look at the shadows too. Let's turn my shadows on, expand this. I don't want use sun for shading, so I can see my model better. I know that the blue side is the dark side, underside, white is up, so that's everything's correct. And it's really cool because now we can see, that's basically the creek, right? You can see the contours are awesome. You can see these huge draws and you understand what's going on with the terrain. So just when you first start a project, you should just do this just so you can understand it. If you're not going to physically model it, you should create a 3D model of it so you can kind of understand what's going on with landform clearly. Okay, so there goes the terrain. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna put this in my projects, Walltown. Everything's nice and organized too, right? I know where everything is. I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna say existing conditions. Bam. All right. Okay, and now I'm going to handle this. I'm going to try to make faces with this information. And those trees came in, so awesome. So I'm going to, hopefully those trees came over, so I'm going to say they all came over in one thing. What I want to do is, I want to combine all these tree layers to one tree layer, because it's too much, right? So I'm going to grab that, that's the layer I'm going to put myself on. I'm going to go to each of these other ones, and I'm going to say delete. But when I say delete, I'm going to say move to current layer, so it combines them to one layer. Because I want to be able to turn that tree on, oops. I want to be able to turn the tree on and off when I want to, and have everything turn on and off. Okay, so I'm going to turn those off for now because I'm going to run, what happened? Oh, there it goes. Okay. What I want to do too, my structures are up here, so that's cool. We don't really need parcels for this. You're gonna when we model this thing, the parcels you don't really need to show. So I'd probably just leave that layer off. So really, we need to have the roads and all that will create the closed frames. Let me just leave them on for now, so I can drop this thing in and show you how it'll create faces on this. But in reality, you won't want to show that. Okay, so let me turn the trees off. Structures are up there, and actually let me put this on a layer. I'm gonna create in PC you have to create this. I can just type it in here and it creates a layer for me automatically on Mac, a little perk of Mac. I'm gonna call this just terrain, 00 terrain mesh. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. And I'm gonna grab structures just to make sure that the lines don't get caught up, and I'm gonna group everything together. So I'm on layer 0, I'm gonna create a group, and I'm gonna put that group on structures as well, so I can kind of turn everything off together. I know it's nice, neat, and packaged. Now what's left over is basically parcels and vegetative cover, and I guess that street center line. I'm gonna turn the street center line off, and I'm gonna turn the parcels back on. And really what I want to do for this is kind of combine those to layer 0. So all my line work typically is on layer 0. So I'm going to delete parcels and say move to current layer. And then I'm going to go to veg cover. I'm going to treat a little bit differently. I'm going to isolate that. So let me put myself in veg cover and turn off that now. And I'm going to group all this as well, because that's going to be a drop set we'll put on this, and I want that to be separate. And now that's veg cover as well. Yeah. Go back to layer 0 and turn that off. So it's really just kind of the parcels. I really don't want the road center lines either. Let me put those on a group as well. So let me turn that off. My road center lines are on. And grab all this and group that as well. And just turn all that off. Okay, so that's kind of really the frame that I'm working with, right? Nice clean geometries. There's no faces right now. So I'm going to run the Dynascape plugin, extensions, Dynascape, run CAD cleanup, and it's made faces for me. Now, for some reason, it's inverted the faces, but that's no problem. I'll just reverse them so that the front face is up. And that becomes more apparent of why that's important when you get into the rendering programs, because if you have the wrong face, it just won't render. Now, there must be a break in it, so there's breaks over here. So, and I can kind of see where these breaks are. And begin to kind of just close them. Of course, when we have the final CAD piece, when we have our work, all this will need to be closed and all that will be fixed. I'm just going to try to do this quickly now. What am I missing? If you can't see, you can always adjust the styles. Like, the style's pretty clean, but it would be nice to have like a ground plane so I can see. Okay, where gaps are. Looks like there's a gap there. Alright. I have a shortcut for edge tools. It looks like everything's clean now, so this thing should be making faces. No. So I'm gonna run it. I'm just gonna delete the. I have another shortcut in here. Select only. And this is the selection tools. I'm just going to say faces and just delete it, and I'm going to run the CAD cleanup again. Okay, and it's still tripping. So what am I missing? This one thing still don't work. Alright. So then reverse face and see if we can't close some of these things going to work. Hardcore. Okay, put it in. So what I did was I just did a couple of things. I just went to plan view, and then I put the camera in parallel projection, so I can have a dead-on view of this thing, so I can try to figure out like what's going on and where the breaks are and all that stuff, and start kind of closing these lines like this. You can come back and erase, and sometimes this is still what happens with this, with SketchUp. Even when using the plugins, and you kind of have. So this is, I guess, it's good. It's happening in a way, in some way, some odd way. It's good for you all to see. Sucks for me right now, though. Okay. Quicker than this. Alright, right. Maybe that breaks down here. Oh, there you go, it's magic. Oh, there you go. Nope, I lied. So I'll just delete that out. And everything's working now? Cool. I just missed those. Alrighty then. Let me just close this off too. Okay, so now I have all that. Everything looks good. Cool. Put it back in perspective. I can put my terrain mesh back on. Cool, so I can see now. I got the shadow still on. I don't really need that. Turn those back off. Bam. Okay. So now what I want to do is just grab that. And of course, I like grouping everything. I'm going to group it. I'm using my move tool. I hit up on the up arrow to lock the axis. Bring that up and I'm going to say Tools, Sandbox, Drape. I'm going to click the terrain mesh and let SketchUp do its thing and work its magic. Okay. And stop it. It took forever. So definitely you want to save after you do something big like that, right? Because that took forever. I'm going to hide my terrain. This is my flat work. I want to keep my terrain mesh on. I want to call this flat. Yeah, my flat work is not really anything right now. So I'm going to call that flat work. Okay, and I'll just turn that off for now. Alright, so now I'll go in and I'll explore this mesh. Well, before that, let me kind of do something quick with the buildings too to kind of show you this. So I'm going to go back to structures and I put it in the group, so that's nice. And Control A, and I'm going to run the Dynarscape CAD cleanup to make faces with these things. Cool. I'm going to go here and I'm going to say orient faces. So all the it didn't work. Orient faces. Okay, so I found an extension, hopefully I'm going to test it out together. Where's your front face? I'm not even sure where it is in here yet. There it is, straight front face. Oh god, that's still slow. Okay, well, that's faster. I'm just dragging it over, so it's better than having to manually click, I guess, but it's still kind of painful. So hoping there's a faster way than that. But you need to have all your faces fronting the same way, so this was the plugin that I found, and this is what I'm going to kind of go with. That stuff, I mean, some of these smaller pieces out here I don't need. Just kind of picking and choosing. Stuff out here, I don't know if we necessarily need all of that. Probably stuff back here we don't need. Probably not going to miss little things like that. These little things, probably not going to miss so much. Keeping our geometry more simplified. Clean some of these things up here, these slivers that don't make sense. I don't need that. Smaller things again, just kind of picking and choosing. Where's the face here? Let me save this. Always save, you do a lot of work. So you save that. Knock that cut out. This building needs to be fixed, but I'm going to that. There's like another one probably there. Okay, so now let me try to grab all these and then do multiple push-pull. So I'm going to go multiple push-pull, and I'm going to say I'm going to bring this thing up. I'm going to do all the small ones. So I'm going to say the small ones are about a story. So maybe I'll make them 14 feet. Okay, so we get a nice pop-up. So now what we can do that's 14 feet, you know, you might come up here and add another, I don't know, 20 feet to this. I don't know, there's, you know, so it has some height. It's kind of the bigger unit you can kind of come around and fix. I believe that's the church, so whatever the church would be, maybe the church would be another, I don't know, 20 feet high, I don't know, whatever it is. We can kind of figure out what that needs to be and then raise them to be that size. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to run another script. These are all independent or separated faces. They're not made in groups, and I want them to be groups. So I'm going to select all, and I have an extension. that will make these things into groups. So I'll run that. And I'll just control A on the inside, so they're all groups now. And I'll put those all on structures. And then I'll come back out and just explode that group I had them all locked into. That way the geometries would be separate from the terrain geometry. So let me just grab all that and bring it up a little bit. And turn back on the terrain mesh. And then from that point I would just drop GC and let it do its magic. Okay, looks like we had one that's kind of just straggling, but there we go. There you go. All right, now when you come in, because the terrain's not going to be level everywhere, you'll have to come in and kind of eyeball it and like pull some of these things down. But just to start off with, this will give you a good base, and we can figure out how far out we need to go. Like some of this is stepping down, for instance, so you know that would have to be, there's a gap there, so we'd have to kind of go into that. Let me just show you what I mean. So the building, and just kind of pull it down, past grade. There you go. So that's something that you could do, but based on what we need, the focus areas here, so we'll just kind of adjust that as necessary. Okay. And this building pad looks like it's working pretty well. Oh no, it's not allowed. So you just pull this stuff down. So not too hard to do. You pull the pad all the way down to make sure it's clear. There you go. All right. So now we have, let me just clear the windows so we can kind of see what we're working with. You can kind of see the lay of the land, the topography. Well, I don't have my contours on. Back on my contours, we can see that as well. Where are my contours? There they go. So that works nice. They're not dashed. You still get a good idea of what's going on with the site, at least based on the information that we have. Okay. Now let me turn back off the structures for now and the contours and focus on the terrain. So I should be able to double click now and these things should be faces. So there you go. So most of these have made faces and that's cool, but sometimes you'll have breaks. I see breaks right there. So I have my tool that allows me to draw on surface. So I'll kind of just zoom into these break areas and just basically fix the lines. And again, we're not going to have parcels on this, but I'm just kind of showing you what it would be with that. And that's, you kind of go through and heal it and find the place where the breaks are until all the faces are made. And then at that point you can begin to drop your textures on, and there's ways to drop the road, and I can show you all that kind of after the fact. Alright, what else can I show you? I'll look at those trees now. Let me explode this one level too. Okay. So with these trees, I'm going to bring these trees up now. And I'm going to do another thing too. I'm going to bring in some other trees from a different project from Bingham actually that we're going to be doing. So there they go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all this plant material, because this is the type of plant material that I suggest that you all use. Grab some of that. Grab some of these plants too. Copy these over. Okay. Kind of hover on the side a little bit. Okay. So we'll grab this one for this and Control V. And just kind of move it over. Zoom in to where it's center. It's good to me. Then you can Control A and deselect this guy, delete the old one. And now you've updated the that block, which is nice. Let's turn it to face you. And then what I'd recommend is using these, some kind of modification of these. I've created several because they have the same aesthetic, and that way you can do photorealistic textures, and this thing will actually look good without even going to Lumion. So I would highly recommend using these plants. Once you have that, again, it's the same process. It would be the drop GC. Okay. Now we also had that the landscape space, I believe, the vegetation coverage area is what we called it. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of go in there and and extensions and just run cat clean up here too. So I'll make some faces. Looks like we had some lines on the outside, so I'm gonna explode this for now. And go back and put it in a group. And just Control A it. And looks like I'm missing some line work, so I'm just gonna close some of that out. Okay. Control A, again, I'm just gonna, just for practice sake, I'm gonna reverse the faces. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm gonna use a spray. There's a command, an extension that allows you to do disperse. And let me get two of these. And actually, just to keep it so it's live, I'll just explode this for now. Explode, so I can just spray on all that. I'm gonna grab these components and just kind of do the mix of all the trees that I have here. And I'm gonna my extensions and then ray tracer. And then spray can. And what's gonna allow me to do is I'm gonna make my the radius, I don't know, like 80 feet. See my cone kind of getting bigger. And what it allows you to do is just kind of spray the components that you selected onto a mesh. So just kind of a way of getting quick coverage into the area. Good entourage. Now notice I got these little tiny trees. For some reason they're just scaling funny, so I'm just going to double click in here and just Control A. And I have a shortcut for my scale, Control 9. And I'm going to attempt to pull this thing out. Let me. As soon as I find the right angle. Okay. Add, I gotta move it again. Alright, that's a whole lot better. Okay, so we got some better trees. Cool. Alright, so now I kind of have my tree coverage area, right? And what I'll do then, because there's obviously a scaling issue there, I'll delete these that I brought in. Okay. And what I'll do is select all instances. This is again as a plugin, selection toys. So select all from well, instances. Where is that at? So instances. So select all, and I'm going to bring those up. And I'm going to use drop GC just to drop them down on my terrain. Cool. So that's kind of how that would work. Now I just keep on going, populate it. So instances, select all. Need to put them all on vegetation layer too, but they are blocked, so I can still kind of isolate them. But since I have these, I'm gonna go ahead and put them on the tree 1 layer. Why not? Let's see what tree 1 is. Tree 2, tree 3, tree 2, tree 1. So the ones that came over were tree 3 that kept. Okay. Tree 2 and tree 1. So I'm going to call this tree 2 then. Okay. And I'm going to do a drop GC. Okay. Instances, select all. Drop GC one more time. Okay, now once I have that, I don't really need these areas anymore, so I'm just gonna kind of get rid of these. Just simplify. We can always bring it back over if we needed to, but I mean, I think this is pretty good. Okay, so now we're starting to get a kind of an idea. I can put the structures back on of what is going on the site. And what I'll do too is just paint the terrain a green color. Just a nice kind of a light wash green. Just so that we can kind of see it and how it stands out against the structures. Right. You can kind of get a better sense now of what's going on the site. Get rid of all that, especially when you put on your contours and whatnot. Now again, this won't be perfect because the roads might not be perfectly graded, but there's plugins to help us to grade that information out. So it'll make that part easier. This is just kind of waiting on you all to get the CAD work done so we can bring it over. So what I'm going to do, I'm even doing this as a force of habit, let's see, an error. But what I'm going to do is just create the terrain mesh. I have the trees and kind of the beginnings of the buildings for you all. And I brought over the plant material and actually let me, okay. So there those guys are, so you have some plants and awesome. So let me redo that and turn off my flat work. We'll bring that in again, like I said, we'll bring the flat work in, and because it's linked to the AutoCAD, it'll come in right in where it needs to be. It'll align. So I'm going to delete that flat work. I'm going to turn off these trees. Turn off the structures. I don't need that, I got rid of that. Turn off those trees. And let me turn off the contours for now. And I was going to my terrain mesh because I'm going to redo another terrain mesh. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go to my contours. And I'm going to select my contours. And nothing but the contours. Okay. And I'm going to put myself on that layer and actually turn that into a group. Okay. Just to keep it clean, then I'll go inside there and then control area and then just run my script for draw contours. I have a shortcut for that with my, I think I have it on Shift C, but that's just draw, tools, or sandbox, and then from contours. So I'm just recreating that terrain mesh again. It might take a little bit. So we have a clean base, and I'll paint it green and leave the structures embedded. And have the contours on the outline as a kind of a reference for the site, and then we'll update the CAD, drop it in, and then we'll make faces, and this will be the final model. In the meantime, between time, I recommend somebody grabbing these buildings and like fixing them, at least the hero buildings, the ones that are on the site that we're focusing on, to really get them and model them to how you think they should look. Maybe not so much the interior, but certainly the exterior facades. Okay, so now I'll just explode this. We'll have two groups. All right. So I can turn off my contours now, turn my terrain mesh. Well, that should be under layer 0. Okay. Now when I turn off contours, it'll be okay. Great. And what I'm gonna do is just paint that green color. Cool. And then I can drop back on the contours again so we can see them, and then I can do the buildings, structures, and I get this in abbreviation too. I'll call that AR for architecture and structures or buildings, whatever. Should be kind of consistent. I don't think I need that anymore. Let me turn my trees back on. Yeah, it's not doing anything anyway, so I'm gonna delete that guy. Cool, so now we have a nice little base terrain mesh, at least, that's waiting for you all to drop your contours onto it, and we can kind of see what's going on here in these folds. Let's drop some shadow on some. I do these little quick studies. And then really from this too, if you wanted to, you can drop sections and, and get these views and understand what's going on. Alright, so that's going to be the base model, this base set. Let me save this. It should be in the that share folder. And again, somebody needs to take these buildings and start modeling them. Any questions, let me know, and I guess I'll see you all tomorrow, and I guess a little bit on the weekend, hopefully not too much. Peace.